What's up everyone? Welcome back and thanks for checking out today's video. This video is the fourth and hopefully the final installment in the Rearview Mirror Dashcam project that we've been working on. In this project, we've been installing, reviewing, and comparing an assortment of Rearview Mirror Dashcam systems to find the one that we feel is the most acceptable. We have reviewed the Wolfbox G840S, the Arfa E22, and the Lindu LD05. And out of those three units, the unit that I feel is my recommended choice at this time is the Wolfbox G840S. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a new unit, and throughout this video, I'm actually going to be using the Wolfbox G840S as my benchmark so that we can figure out what this new unit does better and what it does worse. And the unit that we're going to be taking a look at today is the Azdome PG19X. This unit goes for $169.99 and it is a 4K resolution system. It has an integrated front-facing camera and a separate 1080p rear camera. This unit has a lot of built-in features which are very similar to a lot of the other units. It has 24-hour parking monitoring, loop recording, and dual image capabilities where you can view and capture two images at the same time. One of the unique features that this item has that the Wolfbox G840S does not is it has built-in Wi-Fi. What that does is it gives you the ability to access your captured content through your phone. So similar to the other videos, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and unbox this unit to see what it comes with. Then we're going to go ahead and install it. Then we'll go through all its features and functionality. Then we'll take a look at its image quality and compare it to the Wolfbox G840S. So let's go ahead and get this unboxed.
So when we open up the box, the first thing we see is the mirror. This is the typical way that they display these mirrors in this box to keep it well protected with some foam. What we're going to do is remove this foam ring. Then we're going to pull out the mirror, which is actually attached to this cardboard piece. To detach it from the cardboard, all we have to do is simply press one of the tabs and slide it under. Then do the same for the other side. And then we're going to take the cardboard piece and slide it off. As you can see, this is a rectangular mirror. There does seem to be somewhat of a blue tinge to it, but that might be because of this screen protector that is already applied to it. This is just a packaging screen protector. And as you can see, it has some printed information on it so that you know that this is not going to be something you keep on it. On the bottom, we have our power button and two microphone ports. We also have two sets of vents on each side. I think those are for the speakers to allow the sound to come through. On the back, we actually have our two locations on each side for mounting and attaching the rubber bands to this device so that we can secure this to the stock mirror. So there's two on each side. This also has these grip pads right here, which are used to protect the mirror from getting damaged as well as keep it in place. The next thing we have is the reset button right there. We have a sticker with the model ID and the SIN number for this device. We have our vents right here, which I believe is for cooling, as well as some additional ones on this side. The front-facing camera is integrated into this device, and it does have a tilting mechanism on it, so it gives you the ability to angle the camera depending on the position. This also does have a slide-out feature, which when you're attaching this to the stock mirror, you're actually going to have to slide that out to put the stock mirror on and then secure it with the rubber bands. On the top, we have our USB-C power port. We have our AV port, which is for the rear view camera. We have our micro SD slot, which does include a micro SD card, which looks to be a 64 gigabyte card. Then we have our GPS antenna port right there. We also have two more vents on each side. I'm not sure what those are for. They might also be for the speakers. The next thing we have that comes with this is the GPS antenna and a cord. Then we have two sets of rubber bands, two different sizes, which is great because depending on the size of your stock mirror, you might have to use the big one or you might have to use the small ones. The next thing we have is our rear view camera. It looks like to be a standard camera here. It does come with the bracket. It has an adhesive pad that you can use if you want to mount it that way, or some screws. It does look like it includes 6 feet of cord, and it looks like the standard camera that we've seen before. Next thing we have is the user manual, which has all the information on how to use this device and install it. Very good to read through that. Then we have our 12-volt DC power adapter, which is used for more of a temporary plug-in solution. I'm actually going to be using the hard wiring kit that I already have installed on the Jeep instead of using this piece. The next thing they have is a little pry tool and some cable attachment tools or adhesive pads that are used to secure the cable for the rear view camera. We then have a micro SD cleaning cloth, which is used to clean the surface of the mirror. And then the last thing we have, which is hidden down here, is our anti-glare screen protector. This is definitely something we're gonna have to be using on the Jeep.
Now that we've unboxed this unit and you now know what it comes with, we're going to get into the installation. Because this unit actually comes with removable tabs on the back, we're actually going to be able to show you 2 options for mounting the screen. The first option is going to be where we're going to take the screen and simply place it over top of the mirror and then attach it using the rubber bands. The second option is going to be where we're going to remove the tabs from the back, add a bracket, and then remove our stock mirror and replace it with this unit. Both options are very much acceptable, and it really comes down to your personal preference. For myself, I like a more OEM finish, so I'm actually going to go ahead and replace my stock mirror with this unit. As for the wiring, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one because I actually already have a hard wiring kit run on the vehicle, which will work with this system, as well as I already have my camera wire and my GPS antenna already in position. So all I'm gonna have to do is simply plug and play to get this functioning. But don't worry, I will show you where you need to run the wires and how to do it. But first, let's get into showing you the 2 options for mounting the screen. Now that you've seen the two options for mounting the screen and how to replace the rear camera, let's talk about the wiring. So you actually have two options for the power wire. The first one is you can use the 12-volt DC power adapter that is provided with the kit. This is designed as a more temporary or a less permanent option, and all you have to do is simply plug it into the top, run the wire throughout the vehicle, and then have it plug into this port right here. The second option you have is to run a hard wiring kit like I have done on my Jeep. It is basically designed to give you a power supply that is wired directly to your fuse box. It actually taps into two different fuses. One is a fuse that is powered when your vehicle is on, and the other one is a fuse that is powered when your vehicle is off. For running the hard wiring wires and the wire for the camera and the wire for the GPS, the steps are very basic. All you have to do is come in here and undo the two 10mm bolts that are in this A-pillar handle right here. Then you can pull that panel off. Then you're gonna come up top here and you're gonna pull down on this panel. Once you have both those panels released, all you have to do is run your wire from your mirror all the way across here, down the A-pillar and into the dash. Once you're in the dash, you just have to figure out how to run the wires through your firewall to get to your fuse. You can also use this to run the 12-volt DC power adapter, because then once you're in the dash, you can actually bring it along the dash and then bring it out to plug into here. I've done both those options in other videos. I'm not going to show it here, but if you want to see a time-lapse installation of those steps, make sure to check out the other videos in this series. Now that we have everything installed and wired up, we're ready to fire this up and take a look at its features and functionality.
Okay, so when you power up the screen for the first time, it takes you to the settings part for initial setup. First, we gotta select the language. Then we can click our time zone. Then we can select our date. This is pretty smooth compared to some of the other ones that we've used that were a lot rougher to adjust. This is very smooth. We're gonna format the card. So when the screen opens, it opens to the rear camera. On here, we have arrows on the side, which are for adjusting the angle of the camera for the back view. We then can, let's see if we can swap. Oh, no, we can't swipe side to side. That changes the brightness. So we can turn the brightness up. So let's turn that all the way up. That's a brightness bar at the top. Over here we have, a time recording, which is indicating time and it's recording. Then we have a GPS signal, Wi-Fi, recording, the 3-minute loop timing, park sensor, and SD card. We then have a label here that's Asdome, their logo, time, date, and the day of the week. At the bottom, we got our speed sensor right here. Then if we press unrecord, which is the middle button right there, we can then capture photos for both the front and the back right there. To switch images, we can actually do that right here. This takes us to the dual view, and then we can head over to the front view. We also have the ability to mute the microphones inside the cab so that when recording, it is not capturing any audio. Then we have our image capture area, which is very similar to the Lindu and the Arfa E22. This is very similar. So you have your front views. You can click on there. And then in here, you can see everything that's there. You can also delete files here. So I'm going to delete that file. You can play them as well right there. So lots of options right there. Very similar to the Lindu LD05 and the Arfa E22. And we go into settings. This is where we got a bunch of stuff. So we can set, again, very similar to the Lindu and the Arfa. You have the ability to set your G setting to change settings. So you can change that. We're actually going to put ours to low. We have screensaver. So the screensaver effect. We then have date and time. We have fatigue driving reminder. Those are really annoying. Parking guidelines. We're going to turn that off because we didn't wire that up. Rear mirror. So this is to make sure if you have to flip your mirror. It looked like our rear mirror was correctly the right way, so we have to worry. Let's go back to that.
The boot screen, you can choose whether you want it to boot on the rear camera, front camera, or dual. So we want it on the rear, so that's perfect. We can also just get rid of the logo, time, and date. So we're actually going to do that. I don't want those on, so let's remove that. Then you have your video stamp. We will also remove that. Ketone, this is the noise of the beeping. We can remove that if we wanted to. So you can turn it off, on, whatever you need to. Date format, you can change that. Frequency, we're going to keep at 60, but you could change it if you wanted to. Format reminder every 30 days. Whether you want to flip the rear, we don't need to do that, so that's not a big. And then Wi-Fi mode on, off. So you can pick what you want it to do. So we'll keep it on. Oh, that looks like it starts the Wi-Fi right away. Not sure if I want that Wi-Fi on all the time, so, but we'll put it on for now and see what happens. In the video settings, we then have video resolution. We can change to 4K on the front with 1080p rear, 2K front, 1080p rear, or 1080p for both. So we'll keep it in 4K. The WDR, we'll turn that on for sure. Impact detection for parking mode, we'll turn that on. Time-lapse recording, 8 hours. Let's put that to 24 hours. Then we'll do loop recording. So loop recording's at 3 minutes. We'll leave that. Auto recording, audio recording. We are going to leave that off. And then time-lapse parking mode, we'll turn that on as well. In the system setting, this is where you can change the language if you wanted, change the time zone, you can format your SD card, check out your firmware version, speed limit, you can change that, GPS information, default settings, which would be where you would restore it, everything, and then QR code, which I don't know why there's a QR code, but there is. So as you can see, very similar to a lot of the other products we've used. So now let's go check out the app to see what options are available in that.
When you connect the app, it's going to bring you to this page. On this page, there are 3 options. First, you can click the actual device. Second, you can check the real-time video. And third, you can check the local videos, which all are your saved content. If we click the check real-time video, it'll take us to this page. And depending on your Wi-Fi connection, it might take a little bit of time to load, like it did here for me. Once it loads, you can see the image of the front view. And if you want to see the back view, all you have to do is click the switch camera, and that will make you jump over to the rear view. To access the other buttons that are available on this page, you actually have to stop your recording. You can then select the other buttons. The first button that you can play with is the audio recordings. The next option you have is video resolution. If you click this button, you can see your 3 different video resolutions for the front that are available. The next button you have is the Dashcam album. If you click this, it's going to take you to whatever saved content you have on your memory card. At this point, the video in the events was not showing up, and I think this is mainly due to the fact that I was in the parking garage and the Wi-Fi signal was struggling just a bit. But when you go into the photo section, you can see the photos that I've taken. From this page, you can click on them to view them, and then you can decide if you want to delete them or download them to your phone. If we head back to the live view, there are a couple other options that are available on this screen. Expand screen button, which will expand the image to take off your entire phone. And then if we minimize the image again, it'll take us back to the page we were just on. On this page, I'm going to stop the recording once again. Then I can access the settings for the dash cam. And in here, you have some options for changing video resolution, exposure, system settings, changing the Wi-Fi. You can change the password in here. And then you can also format the SD card from your app.
Now that you know how this system and the app work, we're now going to take a look at the image quality and compare it to the Wolfbox G840S. Once we've done that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give my overall thoughts and opinions about this product. But before I do that, I actually need to take some time to capture the content for that comparison, as well as I want to test the system out a little bit more so that I have a good understanding before I give my final thoughts. So guys, enjoy this comparison right now, and then we'll see you guys in a couple days. And we're back. Now that I've had a few days to use and test the system out, I can now give you my review of the product based on my experience. And we're going to do this by going through the 4 categories. First is the physical item, then the installation, the functionality, and the performance. Starting with the physical item, I actually have a few likes and dislikes. The first like I have has to do with the shape of the screen. This screen is a pure rectangle. And unlike the Wolfbox G840S, which was round and used some taper edges, this one has 90-degree corners, which for me is a little bit more high-end and definitely more elegant. I also think that this style better suits the interior of my JL. In the end, this is more of a personal preference, and the shape of the screen does not affect its performance or its functionality. It really comes down to what you like a little bit more. The next like I have has to do with the fact that this was designed with removable rear tabs. Unlike some of the other units that I've reviewed that did not have removable tabs, I did not have to do any major customization to this unit to apply a bracket to the back. All I had to do was unscrew those tabs, remove them, and screw on the new bracket. This is great because it gives you a versatility to determine which way you want to install this, whether you want to simply just attach it to your stock mirror, or if you want to go ahead and remove that mirror altogether and put this new unit in its place. And the first dislike I have has to do with the anti-glare film. I've mentioned this before, I really don't like these films, and it's mainly due to the fact that when you're installing them, they never turn out perfect. There's always that one hair or that one air bubble that occurs, and then if you go to adjust it, it just gets worse and worse, and it never turns out perfect. I really don't understand why they can't just make the surface of these screens have an anti-glare effect on them. But what I heard from one of my viewers is the reason is possibly because these screens have to be designed in a way that if they fail, they can still be used as a mirror. That kind of makes sense, and it explains why they provide the anti-glare film that you can decide if you want to put it on or not, because some people might still want to use these screens as reflective mirrors. The next issue is actually something that has existed on all the other systems that I've reviewed, but I just haven't mentioned it, and it has to do with cord management. So because the way these are designed, they have to have the power ports located on the top of the screen. Well, because of that, you actually have all your cords going in at that location. And to me, it just looks like a bit of a mess. So I was thinking, why don't they just use a split wire where all 3 of the connection ports get connected into one single wire that then goes into the top of the screen? This would just give a little bit of a cleaner look. The next dislike I have, or issue, is similar to an issue that I have on the Wolfbox G840S. And it has to do with the fact that this mirror is a 12-inch wide mirror, and on a Jeep JL or a Jeep JT, the 12-inch wide mirror just don't really work well with the sun visors. What happens is when you pull down the sun visor, it will actually contact the edge of the mirror. What you have to do is slide the mirror to the left or rotate it, put the sun visor down, and then rotate it back. This is a bit of a pain in the butt and more of an inconvenience. For myself, I actually would have went ahead and purchased a 10-inch wide mirror if they would have offered one with the same quality and performance as this one. But hopefully in the future, as technology gets better and better, they'll be able to make different sizes that all perform the same. The last issue I have has to do with the front-facing camera and the large bezel that's around the lens. I don't think that this bezel has any functional reason, and I think it's just a simple design element, but for me, I think it's a little unnecessary. And the reason I feel that is because I think that it draws attention to the fact that there is a camera located on the back of the mirror, instead of it being a hidden feature like it was on the Wolfbox G840S. Again, this is a little bit more of a personal preference thing. It is not really a reason not to purchase it, but it's something to note about its design. So even though I had these minor dislikes about the physical item, I still think it is a well-designed and high-quality product. I think it's constructed well, and I think it's built to last. The next section that we're going to cover is the installation. Overall, the installation of this system was very straightforward and easy to do. Similar to all the other systems that I've reviewed, the installation is almost a plug-and-play installation. The hardest part is figuring out where to run your wires. But once you learn how a Jeep works and how the panels come off, it is actually very straightforward. One thing I want to note about the installation for this unit is because it did have the removable tabs on the back, it made it really easy to install the bracket. There was no extreme customization needed. It was just a simple modification. The next section that we're going to cover is the functionality of the item. Overall, this item functions just fine, but it is not as modern as the Wolfbox G840S. The Wolfbox G840S is a little bit more fancy. They give you the ability to swipe left and right to switch cameras. They give you the ability to slide up and down to adjust the angles of the camera. And in their system settings, they use graphical elements to section out the areas that you can customize. Where with this unit, it is a little bit more simple and more straight to the point. To adjust the camera angles and to switch between cameras, all you have to do is press buttons. And then for this unit in the system settings, it is a basic block style list of what can be adjusted. There's no fancy display stuff, which makes it actually a little bit easier to use. The reason I feel that this is not an issue is because once you've actually installed this and set these units up, you don't really have to go into them on a regular basis and adjust things. They just made it easy to use. No complications and simple. One more thing regarding functionality that I want to mention about this system that's a little bit better than the Wolfbox is its display option. This unit gives you the ability to actually remove their logo and their timestamp from the screen, where with the Wolfbox one, it's always there. And for me, I want to use this as a mirror. I want all visibility. I don't want that distraction on the screen. So it was great that this unit actually gave you the ability to turn that on and off depending on your preference. One more thing it did really well that kind of relates to the display fact is with the GPS feature in this, all it is a small little speed indication on the bottom. Where with the Wolfbox, they had this huge graphical element on the side that showed you what direction you were facing and the speed. But again, it was blocking half the image. So what I had to do with the Wolfbox is actually I had to unplug the GPS antenna so that would not be displayed on this screen. Where with this unit, it's such a small little detail, I can actually leave the GPS antenna plugged in. The last section that we're going to be covering is for performance. And this is probably the most important section because this is the section I use to determine what unit I'm going to be recommending. For this unit, I don't really have any issue with the front-facing camera because it uses a 4K resolution camera, so the image quality that it captures is perfect for video capturing and displaying on the screen. The issue I have with this system, like all the other systems I've reviewed, has to do with the rear view camera. The rear view camera that comes with this system is the same camera that came with the Wolfbox G840S and the Lindu LD05. And unfortunately, the resolution for that camera is only a 1080p, which as a result causes the images to be a little bit pixelated. And then at night, we end up with massive headlight flaring. The only reason that the Wolfbox G840S looked a little bit better in the comparison video is because I actually used the upgraded camera that I purchased for that system. So what I actually did to get an equal comparison is I went ahead and installed the upgraded camera into the Azdome PG19X. And as you can see, there was a great improvement in the image quality. It is still not perfect. There's still a little bit of headlight flaring, but it's a lot less than the camera that came with this system. What I'm surprised about all these systems that exist is the fact that they are providing these cheap cameras. I don't know why they're not providing these higher quality cameras that work better with the systems, especially because these are rear view mirror systems. The main purpose is the rear view camera. So you would think that the rear view camera would be the priority. I would rather my rear view camera be 4K and my front camera be 1080p. Now that you know my thoughts and opinions about the Azdome PG19X, I can now give you my overall recommended choice for this series. My choice did change from the beginning of this video, but it is not what you think, because at this time, I'm actually recommending both the Azdome PG19X and the Wolfbox G840S. The reason is because at this point, I feel like the performance of both those units is the exact same, and it all comes down to price and design. So for design, if you like a square mirror, go with the Asdam. If you like a more rounded and shaped mirror, go with the Wolfbox. For pricing, because the Wolfbox generally is on sale, that is definitely the better priced item. But you have to remember, with the Wolfbox, it does not include an anti-glare film. So that is something extra that you're gonna have to purchase. But for both items, I do recommend that you purchase the upgraded Wolfbox camera, because the camera that comes with both these kits is just not acceptable and pretty much unusable at night. For myself, I'm gonna end up keeping the Azdome PG19X with the upgraded camera. This will probably be the last video in this series for some time, unless I notice one of these vendors come out with some type of system that has a 4K camera in both the front and the rear, because I think that is going to be the only solution that is going to be better than what I have right now. So guys, at this time, I don't really have much more to share, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. But before I do so, I want to thank Asdam for sending me their product, because without them, I would not have been able to create this content and add to this series. If you are interested in purchasing anything I showed in this project, I will put links below for the Azdome PG19X, the bracket that I used, the ball joint that I used, and the upgraded Wolfbox camera. If you have any questions or comments about the install or the product I installed today, feel free to comment below and I'll do the best to answer them as soon as I can. If you're wondering about the red door on my Jeep, that is actually part of the Color This Jeep vinyl wrap project, where I'm actually vinyl wrapping every color of this Jeep a different color, and you guys get to choose what color. So if you want to participate in this project and pick the next color for the next panel, make sure to check out that video and submit your votes on my Instagram polls. As usual, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Keep evolving, and we'll see you guys on the next video.